Well, there you go then. Politics, 7 seconds is a long time in politics. Forget about 7 days or 7 weeks. The breaking news as I come on air now is that Mandelson has said he'll give up his lordship. He's no longer Lord Mandelson. Is that the end of the matter? I don't think so, because the fingerprints of Starmer are all over this controversy, which is why I've called them both clowns today. Let's get your immediate reaction. No big long intro today. What's your view on this? What do you make of Mandelson? And is it time now for the police to be involved? I certainly think it is. It looks like he was giving away state secrets, not just budget concerns. Also, how did Starmer think this was ever a good idea to bring him back? Also, to bring him back as the ambassador in Washington. Everybody advised him against it. He went ahead and did it. So surely the fall of Mandelson isn't enough, or am I going too far? I want your view. I believe that the appointment of what's his name now? I forgot it. Mandelson was the worst political judgment call of Starmer's leadership. But let's face it, there's plenty to choose from. 14 U-turns already. The way he cheated old age pensioners, the way he reverses every decision, his obsession with foreign affairs and getting his air miles up, his absolute refusal so far to go and see the victims, any of the victims, well, apart from Southport, but of course they all called him a wanker and he ran away. He hasn't gone to see anyone who's been murdered or raped, injured, families wrecked by the people that he's let in through the small boat strategy. Well, there is no strategy, is there? But then he appointed Mandelson, even though he knew about his links to the convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Likewise, Prince Andrew. It's hard not to call him Prince Andrew. That's how we've grown up, isn't it? I'm almost the same age as him. But what's going on there? This is the elites, isn't it? And their paedophilia, their obsession with paedophilia. This is going to unravel right around the globe, let me tell you. We've had paedophile rings in this country of the high and mighty covered up, or suddenly because one person lied, it all gets dropped. The elites of this country and indeed of the West are involved in paedophilia. There you are. I've said it, so I'll be dead tomorrow. By the way, I am feeling rough, but I've got no suicidal tendencies if they find me hanging in a wardrobe tomorrow dressed in stockings and suspenders and dead. Let me tell you, this thing with Mandelson is only at the top. Oh, and who was the one who said the other day when Mandelson said his defense was, well, I'm homosexual, so I wouldn't know anything about the girls? That's kind of unraveled a little bit, has it not? If you're supplying men or women, supplying women to men, can't you supply boys to men or women and men to men? I'm not suggesting Mandelson's a paedophile. I'm just asking the question. It's nonsense. And have you seen all his buddies in the media yesterday? People like Emily Maitlis. They're so far up Mandelson's backside. It's unbelievable. John Sopel and Emily Maitlis now should retire. They've got everything wrong when it comes to politics. They both said they thought it was a controversial decision to appoint him, but he would make a great ambassador. How many times have I told you? They're all too closely linked. The mainstream media, particularly the BBC, and indeed politicians. The relationship should be between a dog and a lamppost. That's the job of commentators and broadcasters. It's not their job to, let's go and have a nice cozy dinner together. Let's all get on. No, no, no. And if you didn't believe me before, Surely you must believe me now after this farce. And also, I don't want to forget the victims in all this, because the victims aren't the royal family. They're not Mandelson's husband. The victims are the girls who were being viciously, well, not viciously, yes, viciously, because it was against their will, raped by people like Prince Andrew, people like Epstein. And it would appear by lots of the elites, the greats and good of this world. Not so good, though, are they? This is infesting Western society. We've had the Pakistani Muslim rape gangs as a diversion to a certain extent. And of course, they've still got to be clamped down on, and we still need all the investigations there. But make no mistake about it, the elite must have loved that because it turned the attention away from them. Think of the people who are named in that Epstein. I'm not saying any of these people are guilty, by the way. You've got people like Branson, Richard Branson. You've got people like Bill Gates, all implicated. Top politicians from most Western countries, not just Mandelson. Top sports people, entertainers. I suppose when you've got everything, when you're at the top, you've got all the power, you've got all the money, what's the next thing you do? Have something you shouldn't have, maybe. I don't know. Doesn't appeal to me, but it certainly appeals to them. As far as I'm concerned now, Andrew should be dragged by his ears onto a plane, thrown into the hold in shackles, and taken to the United States of America to stand trial. And then he can prove himself innocent or guilty before 12 good men and true. Are you with me? Same with Mandelson. See, Mandelson's the arch manipulator. Today, this afternoon, I've written a whole thing about this. Starmer was going to introduce a thing called Mandelson's Law, which means they could take away his peerage, or whatever they call it. Mandelson has now given it up voluntarily. Why? Because he hopes the heat will come off him. But the heat must not come off him. There must be a full police investigation into his behaviour on both sides of the Atlantic. He should offer himself up to the FBI as well as Andrew, the scumbag ex-royal. If you agree with me, tell me. If you disagree, tell me. We're going to have a right good conversation and immediate reaction on the John Gaunt podcast today to all of this breaking news. Just going back, if we can, to Mandelson. You may not have been watching it. I've been obsessed with it today because one of the things I found really interesting is Mandelson's talked about secret corridors between Number 10 and Parliament. I didn't know they were there. But he's talked about things he should never have talked about. Has he put our security at risk? Who does he think he is? This man should never be seen in polite company again. I did say at the time, and I do recall this, he should never have been made the ambassador. And this is where the crux of all of my argument comes to. Do you believe that Starmer will, can, or indeed should survive this latest scandal? Because I don't think he should. He's not fit to leave. He's proved it with 14 U-turns. He's proved it just recently when he went to China and he didn't even get a free bag of prawn crackers. He is a buffoon. He will never be a leader while I've got a hole in my underpants. The man is a liability. That's what he is, an absolute liability. When is everybody going to wake up and say, he's got to go? Was he not bothered that Mandelson had been best chums with the chief nonce of the world, of the globe, Epstein? Well, clearly not. And as I say, his fingerprints are all over this. Starmer chose to bring him back. Morgan McSweeney, who's his advisor, evidently Mandelson's his mentor. So he can go as well. Do you agree? But Starmer, I feel now, really has to leave. He has to get out of number 10. No one forced the decision to take on Mandelson. No one slipped Mandelson in through the back door, did they? Starmer actually gave him the dreaded vote of confidence, said he'd make a great ambassador. So what does it say about Starmer's judgment? Did he ignore internal warnings because he believed the public, us, wouldn't care? Did his inner circle, Morgan McSweeney, what a stupid name that is, misread the mood of the country? Or does it show a deeper issue that just like Mandelson, Labour in its upper echelons still can't resist the pull of the old power brokers? Is that why he's been on 40 foreign trips? He loves strutting, doesn't he, like a peacock at Warwick Castle. So it isn't just about Mandelson anymore. It's about leadership. It's about instinct. It's about a political radar, the ability to spot the political grenade before you pull the pin. If Starmer can't see the damage that he's creating in his country, how can he claim to want to run or continue to run the country? Right, we're live, we're uncensored. Your comments will drive the debate. Is it over now that Mandelson's gone? Because I tell you what, the ruling elite, the establishment, that's what they will try to push. You watch the 6 o'clock news on the BBC if you don't believe me. It'll be like, oh, Mandelson stood down. Oh, that's okay then. Trebles all round in the subsidised Commons and Lord's Bar. Let's just carry on as normal. We, the people, now have to say we've had enough. We've had enough of people flouting our laws. We've had enough people sticking a finger up when it comes to illegal immigration. We've had enough of the flip-flop warriors. We've had enough of our women being raped and murdered in the street or on a railway station, as we were talking about yesterday. We've got 3 at least active cases of sexual assault at this moment going on with these flip-flop warriors, as I described them. One in Nuneaton. We don't know if they're guilty or not. We'll know today or tomorrow. But what a ridiculous situation. And I lay the blame for all of this on Starmer. Absolutely on Starmer. We had a great ambassador. She was doing a good job. Trump was happy with her. Why did we change her? Why did we change her for a man who had already been dismissed from government 3 times? It was Starmer's overvoting ambition, his ego. What has he got to be egotistic about? He's the most unpopular Prime Minister ever. When are we all going to wake up and say, no, that's it, general strike, we've had enough. We're not having any more of this crap off you, Keith Starmer. My dad was the toolmaker. He owned the fucking factory. Stop making out I know what it is to be working class. So that's why I like the breakfast clubs, because I know what it's like not to have enough money. Bollocks. Do you believe any of that? Why are we being sold this pub? And why tonight, starting with the 6 o'clock news, the establishment will have breathed a big sigh of relief. They'll just say it's over. Mandelson has taken the bullet for the rest of them. They might eventually get Andrew to go. But I'm not bothered. Well, I am bothered because he's a filthy pedo by the look of it. But I'm not bothered about him in terms of the effect on the country. But the fact that our Prime Minister appointed Mandelson and he's behaved like this. Absolute joke. What is your views? Good afternoon. It's a very quick show today. Yes, I'm having to go back to Coventry. You know, I got my bad leg and they wouldn't treat it here. I've managed to get booked into Coventry. So my beautiful wife, Lisa, is coming down to pick me up, which is why the show's early. Anyway, the rules are the same. If you'd like to comment, write in the comment box. If you'd like to donate, click the little $sign and donate whatever you can afford, only what you can afford, please. It all helps to fund these independent broadcasting. And if you can't see why podcasts are going to be important now, then I don't mean podcasts done by idiots like Alistair Campbell, part of the establishment, that Rory Stewart, everything he says is fucking wrong, or John Sopel, who got everything wrong. Or what about the fat boy? What's his name? Adam Bolton from Sly News, ex of there. He still pontificates as if he knows what's happening in politics. He's another one. He wrote a whole article in the Independent or the Guardian or one of those papers that nobody reads, saying he thought Mandelson was a fantastic appointment. They're all in bed with each other, literally or metaphorically. That's why you need independent podcasting. So if you want to supply some cash, feel free. Click the little dollar sign or go to www.buymeacoffee.com. I nearly forgot it then. /John Gaunt. I'm so dosed up on paracetamol, I could have easily forgotten it. Right, let's take some views. Heath Collinson, Mandy to go. Yes. Yeah, but you see, that's the problem. You might get too excited now thinking that's the problem solved. No, it is not. Denise Deacon, she says governments, royalty, celebs and lawmakers are all involved in paedophilia. It's an epidemic. And I've been saying this for ages. Denise, I agree with you. I absolutely agree with you. What's this one? Ye he should nonce. I don't even know what that means. Angie Jones. Try and write it in English next time. They look like big mates, but Starmer says just stop. Caesar. Look, I know you're excited. I know you want to get on, but read what you've said before you press send. Yes? Otherwise, we haven't got a chance of understanding you. Angie Jones, yours another one. No, he's a loon. Who is? Let's get somebody sensible. Jackie Ward, this is the icing on the cake. Starmer is proven time and time again to have poor judgment. Well said. And we shouldn't have somebody running our country who has such poor judgment. Time to go, Starmer. Correct, Jackie. He has to go. He can't survive this, can he? Well, maybe if people don't moan enough or complain. Think about this, John. Mandelson was known as the Prince of Darkness. Yes, he was. Why? Tell me. People didn't know he was involved in certain things. No, the Prince of Darkness really refers to when he was the spin and PR man for Blair. He used to ring up journalists and basically threaten them. People, he'd put a cabinet minister up on the Today program, and then afterwards he'd ring up and have a right go and say your career's going nowhere. And the Prince of Darkness means the dark arts of PR and how to manipulate things. It doesn't necessarily refer to the fact that people knew he was a friend of Epstein's, because they didn't, is the truth there. Okay, so let's go to the next one. Mark White, jobs for the boys. Yes, Mark. Mandy has more lives than a cat and he's made out of Teflon, says Conor Lysak Stanage. Well, they used to say that, didn't they, about Tony Blair? He certainly has an ability to bounce back, but then that's because of all his mates in the establishment. If you believe in my theory, if you agree with me, that one of the problems we've got about politics in this country is that the mainstream media is too entrenched. They are in bed, literally and metaphorically, with certain presenters, journalists, editors, producers, and politicians, then that's what he was brilliant at. Just recently, even though he was in trouble this week, people are still saying, oh, it's the end of a great political career. I would imagine there'll be some people on BBC Two who will have black armbands on tonight. They'll be in mourning. This man deserves everything that's coming to him. Your memory is probably not as long as mine. I mean, I can remember when he bought those chairs, and also when he went to the football and he had fish and chips up north, and he said, oh, I'll have some of that green stuff. Is that avocado? It was mushy peas. That's what this bloke was like, but he knew how to intimidate and bully journalists. And that's why you cannot trust the mainstream media. Donate now, please. I don't know how many times I've got to tell you. Sue says the Labour government are an absolute joke. Starmer should also resign. Please, God. Well, that's where I'm coming from, Sue. I'm saying I don't see how, if you look at the evidence, he appointed Mandelson. Despite all the warnings, despite all his own knowledge of the man, it was him. Well, doesn't the book stop with him? Especially when you look at Starmer. He's been in power 18 months and has been, is it 14 or 15 U-turns? He's so unpopular, the most unpopular PM we've ever had. Stu carries on to say, I live abroad, but I feel really sorry for you guys having to live under this government. Sleaze is rife in the Labour Party. Do you know what? Unfortunately, I don't think it's just in the Labour Party. Look at how dreadful the Tories were for the last 15 years as well. And the powers that be just cover it up. Nonce brigade, says Sue. Thank you very much indeed. Labour attract the dirty and the rotten, says Annette Locke. Well, is it the same for the Tories, though? Come on. We can't forget the expensive scandal, can we? We can't forget that they started this boat fiasco. So we've got to try and keep it in perspective. But then again, Labour are in power. So they deserve the brickbats, don't they? Mark the Vicar says it's a club and we're not in it. Thank goodness. Absolutely. Mandelson et al. Are the architects of their own misfortune. They'll get what's due to them and they'll deserve it all. Will they? Will they? He's no longer a lord, which obviously he loves. He's no longer got the money coming in from that. But do you really think, Connor, that'll be it? I don't think it'll be much more than that. Will he face the full weight of the law, which obviously he should do? If he has been giving out cabinet secrets to a man, right? This is the accusation that during Gordon Brown's reign, Alistair Darling was the Chancellor, that Mandelson was telling somebody who's involved in banking, as well as being a paedophile, Epstein, confidential information, which he could have made billions or millions from. Confidential stuff that was being discussed. Even Gordon Brown's resignation. He was telling bankers to put the pressure on Gordon Brown to resign. That's not democracy. That's pure treason. And if anybody else was involved with him, I want them in court. But I want Mandelson in court. But on both sides of the Atlantic. This side, definitely, for the briefing. It wasn't briefing, it was spying, effectively, wasn't it? To a foreign agent who also happened to be a paedophile. Then on top of that, you've got the fact that he was a frequent visitor, even living in what's his name? His house in New York when he was still in prison. This is one of the accusations. Mandelson lived at Epstein's house. Then there's the picture of Mandelson in his wife's. I don't think I've seen anything so disgusting since Chris Bryant, MP for Up the Rhondda, I bet, he went on Tinder, do you remember, saying I was horny as hell. He was an MP. What kind of morons do we allow into Parliament? He said I was horny as fuck or something, right? He was looking for a gay partner. You're an MP. How about a few standards? I wanted to talk about Nigel Farage today and his pub initiative. They'll have to wait till tomorrow. But I am broadly in support of it, just so you know. So come on then. How does Mandelson get the full weight of the law to come down on him? He won't. Because as some of you have already said, the judges are all part of this. They're all part of the same thing. We're just the little people. We're the scum. We're there to be abused in many ways, not just sexually, by the elites. The elites have been literally effing us. And metaphorically, all of us. One law for them, another law for the rest of us. And then they say, oh, there's this thing called democracy. But Starmer, we won't have democracy for 7 million people this year. No, we'll cancel the elections. Let's cancel the elections, not bother even talking to some of the people, any of the people in Crowborough, when we then import 500, 700 illegal men of fighting age to live next to their daughters. That's democracy, is it? That's living in the West. That's freedom, is it? I don't think so. I hate wishing time away, but I just cannot wait for a general election. What difference will it make unless reform get in? I think very little. This country is a complete embarrassment at the moment, says Steve McNeish. I tell you one thing, Steve, watching Farage on the telly as all this news broke, I thought, bloody hell, you've got a job on. Just one sniff of corruption, because they've tried to do Farage for something he allegedly said or didn't say 50 years ago. And that's before he even got anywhere near power. Imagine if he becomes the Prime Minister. 10 o'clock news, Nigel Farage farted and burped at the same time today. It proves that he's been eating Russian food. He's obviously in bed with Mr. Blah, 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 blah. That's the way it's going, Steve. I'm not even sure an election will solve that. I don't know how it would happen, but what does have to happen for a general election to be called? Please explain. The only way we can have an election is in 4 years' time, or if there's a vote of no confidence in the Prime Minister, but he's got a majority of 80. And do you think those lick-spittles on the Conservative benches, Sue, are they going to vote like turkeys for Christmas? I don't think so. So we're stuck with this man and his corrupt, lousy government for years yet. Years and years and years. Unless we make his life so uncomfortable. Where are we going next? Pair of scumbags. Oh, are you talking about Starmer and Mandelson? Sue says Scandalson instead of Mandelson. I like that. The Solzhenitsyn quote about leaders feels absolutely spot on. Remind me of the quote, Steve. Write the quote up for me. Annette Locke. I nearly threw up when I saw him in his underpants in that picture. Yeah, he looked awful. Like I say, the last person who looked that bad in a pair of Grundies was Chris Bryant, ex-vicar, became an MP, then said he was as horny as fuck and was trying to get sex on Tinder. He's now on the front bench of the Labour Party. And he's now like, was he father of the house or something? He's like the big moral man. Yeah, mate. Yes, mate. Sue, you've been on. I'm not going to put that one on. Steve McNeish. I say agree, Nigel's got his work cut out, but he's got my vote. He can't do any worse than the other parties. That's exactly where I'm coming from, Steve. And when they say he hasn't got any experience, you say, well, we've had a load of people with experience. Look what they've done. The country's completely and utterly knackered. Unbelievable. News alert. 500,000 migrants head to the UK. What are you on about, Scotty? What's that about? Is that meant to be sarcasm? I don't really understand that. Right, I'm done. My leg's killing me. I'm going to get myself back to Coventry, get myself to see my doctor, and hopefully he'll get healed. Oh, shit. Have you noticed that? Most of your doctors now are female. I don't mind. When I was in hospital dying, every single person who looked after me at the top level was a woman. All the top surgeons and all those bits that, you know. And also, actually, then even at the lower levels, all the nurses were women. And the lady who used to bring me a cup of tea every day, and on the first day, she was a little Asian lady. She said, well, what's your name, dear? I said, my name's Jonathan, but everyone calls me John. Can I call you John? She said, I said, yes, you can. Every day and every afternoon, she brought me a cup of tea. And she's typical old lady. You know, the old ladies in working hospitals always wear like a blue house coat type thing. She was lovely. Really nice. It's those little things that make it better. Scotty Darling says it's on the news. Well, it needs to be a bit more than it's just on the news. Who says it's on the news? What's the story, Scotty? Thank you very much indeed. Stu says, what? Can you get an appointment? Get well soon. Yeah. You weren't listening yesterday, Sue. I did my knee in last week. Too long a story to go into here, but I ripped my knee to bits. Blood everywhere. Left it for a couple of days, thought it would heal. Typical bloke. And it didn't. Went to see a nurse in Coventry just before I came down to Oxford to see my daughter. And she strapped it up and she said, you'll have to come back to get it taken off. And I said, well, I'm going away. She said, oh, they'll change it for you at the local doctors. So what did I do? Went to the local, rang the local doctors yesterday, got through to this woman who I think she was related to Hitler, or the computer don't work. The computer says no. I says, can I see a nurse today, anytime, today or tomorrow, so she can do this dressing for me? No. That's all she said. No. I said, oh, what's that then? We don't do that. Well, who does? You'll have to go to the hospital, right? The nearest hospital is the John Radcliffe, the big hospital in Oxford, brilliant. But I'm not going to go there and be in casualty for something which is minor, right? I found out later there's a minor accident unit or something. I've never heard of them, where you can go if you've got cuts or burns. But why didn't the doctor's receptionist tell me this? Anyway, I'm cutting my losses. I'm going back to God's own country, Coventry. I rang up this morning. I said, can you fit me in today or tomorrow? Well, have to be tomorrow because I'm not going back till 7. She says, yeah, how about 11 o'clock tomorrow morning, Mr. Gaunt? I said, thank you very much. So hopefully I shall get it repaired. But I actually think I need some antibiotics. I feel a bit weird. And for those of you who are new listeners, I had sepsis a couple of years ago. I nearly died. And that was from ignoring a wound. The wound was in a even more painful place. We'll leave it there. And as a typical bloke, I ignored it. And then I suddenly went a bit doolally. You start talking absolute garbage. And I felt a little bit like that today. I'm not a hypochondriac. I don't normally go to doctors, don't normally get ill. Just recently, I've had a run of bad colds and stuff. Maybe it's God telling me the end is nigh. What do you reckon? Never mind. We'll see. Jackie Ward's given me 3 red hearts. I don't know if you'll be here, Jackie. Nice to hear from you. We know that they're lying. They know that they're lying. You even know that we know they're lying. We also know that they know we know they're lying too. Oh, that's your quote. That is brilliant, Steve Palmer. Thank you very much. Let me read that out again. We know that they are lying. They know that they are lying. They even know that we know they are lying. We also know that they know we know they're lying too. Solzhenitsyn, I think he's saying that's from. Thank you very much indeed. Scotty Darling is saying that the 500,000 migrants heading to the UK was on GB News. Yeah, but I'm sure they gave a bit more substance. Is that 500,000 migrants coming today, tomorrow, next week, in the next year? See what I mean, Scotty? So it's nice that you want to try and fuel the discussion with some information, but you need to clarify it. You see what I mean? Are you with me? All right, I'm done. Thank you for not donating any money. I'll just hitchhike back to Coventry. That's kind of you. No, I'm only pulling your leg. But if you could donate, please do. Click the $sign and donate a super sticker or whatever. Alternatively, go to www.buymeacoffee.com/John Gaunt. Yeah, /John Gaunt, and donate anything you fancy. There was something else I was going to say to you about that as well. But also, make sure you follow me on John Gaunt TV on YouTube. Go to YouTube, find John Gaunt TV. A little pop-up comes up the first time you go there. It says, do you want to subscribe? Say yes. No money involved. It just means you want to be part of it. And if you do that, that really helps because it builds the algorithm. And it also means that you get told every time I'm doing one. Okay? And then Steve Palmer, he said the end of that quote is, but yet they continue to lie. Slapping a bird's arse says, I've just got here. Well, we're just going. Heading means that they're moving to cross the UK. Yes, I know what the word heading means, but when? I mean, I could say 6 million people are coming to the UK and then qualify that by saying over the next 90 years. Do you not understand what I'm saying, Scotty? Don't have an argument with me, because when it comes to journalism, I'll just run rings around you. Tell Army Duck, says Sue Hardwick. Thank you, Sue. And look at that. Steve Palmer didn't want me to go home penniless today. He's just donated a £5, $4.99, and give me 5 gold stars. Thank you, Steve, for donating. Every penny helps. I really appreciate it, my friend. Thank you very, very much indeed. Right. Unbelievable. Not the program I thought I was going to do today. I thought we were going to talk about pubs. Then I thought, well, it's all going to be about Starmer and Mandelson. And then literally about 2 minutes to 3. Oh, no, it was after actually. It started at 3:15, didn't I? They announced that he'd given up his peerage. Unbelievable. But we still had a show. Can you get Owen Jones on as a guest, John? No. Well, I probably could, but I wouldn't. Why would I want him? What's he say that's of any importance? I'm going to start having guests again soon, but I'm not going to have. Here's so-and-so. Here's Matthew. He's with me now, but you can catch him again at 10:15 on Talk Radio. And at 11:15, he's on GB News. Then he's on the Jeremy Wine Show. He's got fuck all to say on any of them, but that's where he is. That's his schedule for today. Mind you, he was homeless, so it's good. It gives him something to do, so I'm all for that. But no, I won't be getting Owen Jones on. I can't stand the little creep. And I've said it to his face many, many times on many, many programmes. I don't see what I'd achieve by having him on. Get Serco on your show, says Scotty Darling. Right, I'm definitely going. Got to have some more paracetamol. I'll see you tomorrow at 6. That's when I normally do the show. If you've enjoyed today's show, tell all your mates. Please share the links. Please tell everyone about the show. Please tell everyone what I'm doing. Follow me on Twitter. Follow me on Facebook. And, of course, on John Gaunt TV on YouTube. Until we meet again, thanks a lot. Remember, if you've got kids, give them a kiss. Give them a hug. Hey, hey, hey. Don't forget to tell them you love them. See ya.